What's going on, everyone? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to another AWS Power Hour Cloud Practitioner. Cloud Practitioner. This is our third episode. My name is Aaron Hunter. I am a senior technical trainer with AWS training certification based out of Frisco, Texas. So if you know where that is, let me know. Maybe you are in my backyard. I have no idea. I've had some people in the past say, hey, I'm also from Frisco, Texas. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Beautiful weather. It's 85 degrees. I had lunch outside yesterday, but enough about me. Let us know where you're from. And also, we have someone here. Matt, how's it going?
It's going well, Aaron. Great to be back with you. Can't believe that this is already week 3.
Week 3, I know. Matt is also a senior technical trainer on the training certification words. Oh my goodness, on the training certification team with me. Matt is not based out of Frisco, Texas. Where are you from, Matt?
I'm based up in the mountains of Colorado.
In the
So,
mountains of Colorado. Is there still snow?
uh, yeah, on some of the peaks around us there is, and so
Looks like
yeah, and a couple of places near us got some dustings the other day of snow. So,
some dustings of snow. I mean, we just got out of a heat wave in Texas, and like we had nothing but dustings of like dirt and dryness. It was terrible. We finally got some rain. We have a returning person, and they actually watched last week's episode. I can see that. I can tell because they're like back in Colorado and not in a hotel room.
yes, I have 3 monitors and I'm all set. We won't have some of the glitches that we had last week. So, yeah, looking forward to this. Glad to be back home.
Yeah, and someone's saying nice background. I don't know if that's for me or for Matt. I'm gonna say it's probably for Matt because of all your hockey stuff back there. So do you want to talk about that for a second?
Quickly, I got to live my dream as when I got out of high school, and I spent a couple of years with the Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League as an equipment manager, not a player. No one has ever mentioned the word athlete and my name in the same sentence. So,
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. Hey, I see Woodrow's in the chat as well. Hey Woodrow, thank you. We also have Thomas Cameron. So hey everyone, go ahead and type your questions if you have any in the chat. We're here to help you. We'll do our best to answer those questions as we move along, but we also have a 30-minute Q&A. It's more like 20, 25 minutes Q&A at the very end of this episode. So hang out and hang tight. I see people coming from South Africa, Australia, Hungary, Austin. That's Thomas, by the way. He's one of our chat moderators. So what's up, Thomas? How's it going? And Chicagoland area. Oh, you know what? Chicagoland, I gotta ask, did you attend the AWS summit that happened yesterday? Let us know. There was a summit there, and we had a ton of folks, a ton of customers and partners. Um, I saw photos, and I had some major FOMO. Major FOMO. I really missed out on that one. But hey, Thomas was there. Matt's not in his hotel room, but Thomas actually is.
yes, he is.
So, Thomas, thank you for joining us from the hotel room in Chicagoland area. Um, and hey, look at that. Yes, attended the summit. That
Nice.
hold on, where is it? I lost it. Yes, attended the summit. Okay, cool. More people from Chicago, from Italy. All right, sweet. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our actual conversation here. Now that we've done the deed, we've done the stuff. Episode 3 today, we're going to talk about network and compute services. Again, my name is Aaron Hunter, Senior Technical Trainer with Amazon Web Services. And we have my buddy here, Matt Heffernan, also a Senior Technical Trainer with Amazon Web Services. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So we asked for homework. I'm
Yes,
wondering,
yes, we
I'm
did.
wondering if anyone did their homework. Um, I don't
We
know. Let's see. Matt, what was the homework from last week?
we were going to go ahead, and it was doing security baselines. It was looking at security baselines. Also continue looking at that ramp up guide if you had any questions about specific coverage that we had, and then sharing what they're looking at. So I actually put the workshop link in the chat.
Yeah. The workshop link is in the chat. Go ahead and grab that. Check it out. If you missed last week's episode, you can watch it on demand. But for those who didn't miss last week's episode and actually did the homework, we had a few people who did it, and they posted on LinkedIn. So I'm going to bring them up here real quick. Milan says, during the last few days, I have to read it over here on my side. Let me do this. Now I can read it. During the last few days, I was watching a few AWS tutorials. Hi. And working on my account and most important things, root user and always delete everything that you don't need anymore. And he hashtagged AWS Power Hour. So that's how we can see whether or not you do the homework. Use that hashtag if you do the homework. And securing the AWS account root user is a critical component to making sure that your account's secure and safe. There's no way to block the account root user unless you're using unless you're using organizations. But in most cases, you still don't want to use the account root user. There are actually only 10 situations, 10 tasks that require the account root user. If you don't know what they are, watch last week's episode. We have one more person who also completed last week's homework, and Michael says identity provider integration with IAM, which is, you can see hashtag AWS Power Hour, and Aaron S. Hunter and MH Hefe, he's down here now. But so they tagged myself and Matt, and IDP, or in the identity provider integration, is a really good component of simplifying the task of managing users that are not within AWS. So you can hook into your own environment if you needed to that way as well. So sweet,
That's awesome, Aaron.
It
And we
is.
have last night's ghost has a goal to be featured on this. So you still got some chances to go ahead and yeah.
I see it. Let's bring
So
that
we're
up.
hoping
Okay,
next week for the homework that we assign this week, or
you
you
can do it.
just post about anything that we've covered. Use that hashtag AWS Power Hour.
You're saying LOL last night's ghost, but we're not laughing. We're serious. Do your homework.
Yeah. Yes, do
now,
your
now
homework.
we're laughing. All right, now we're laughing. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Oh, hold on. One person
You
said
had a
that they're.
poll,
I
right?
do have a
About who
poll,
did
but
the homework.
I do
Oh,
have a poll. One person said that they scheduled their exam. Congratulations on
awesome.
taking the first step. The first step is to schedule it, and good luck when you actually sit it. Let us know. Tag us on LinkedIn when you pass. Okay. Tag us on LinkedIn.
We talked about that last week. Remember, if you don't set a date, you tend to push it out, right? That I think you said procrastination gets in there, and I know I'm a very good procrastinator. So setting a date for when you want to take that exam is really important.
That's the first main step. Now let's move over to the poll, and then I'll tell a story about how I messed up one of my exams, and hopefully take the lesson learned from that and pay forward to everyone so that way they don't make that same mistake. Okay, polls, everyone. Oh, hold on. Let's get rid of that. Okay, obviously, clearly they work now. How many episodes have you watched so far? 1, 2, or none? This is your first episode. Let us know. On demand counts. It doesn't matter if it's live. Doesn't matter if it's live. On demand counts. So I see a lot of people are saying too. A lot of people are. Oh, that one's starting to tick up. But you know what? No one is new here. Everyone's at least some kind of returner. So welcome back. Really appreciate having you. Each and every single one of you here. I can see we have actually a couple hundred people. That's impressive. That is impressive. I'm not sure if this person said they've watched 22 or not. You see that one, Matt?
Yeah,
They
I did.
said 22. Have you watched 22 episodes? That's impressive.
Well,
That
you
is.
can. I will say this: watching it again can help. There may be concepts that you don't get the first time. It happens to all of us. Go ahead and do that. And it looks like we have some new people joining as well.
Yeah, and we do. Hey, welcome. Appreciate having you here. Appreciate you. Let's go ahead. I also see. Hold on, we're here. I can't pronounce this, but I'm going to try. Let me see if I can find it. Where did it go? There it is. How do I say that? Kadem Balamesh. Yes, I think I got it. Okay. What else do we have? We have this right here. It's episode 3. We mentioned network and compute services. If you don't know how to get here, let me go ahead and copy that link and I'm going to paste it and drop it in the chat right now. So, episode 3, in the third episode, we are going to focus on core AWS services and you can use to build your cloud infrastructure. So, it says we, and mostly it's going to be Matt, is going to walk us through a variety of network and compute services. Punting over to you, buddy,
Yeah.
such as Amazon VPC or virtual private cloud, and also Amazon EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, as you expand your cloud knowledge. So, if you're new here, if you just joined us, this is episode 3 of AWS Power Hour Cloud Practitioner, and I'm going to hand it over to Matt.
All right. Well, welcome. Real quick, Aaron, don't we have a poll about your homework? And I know I'm going to go ahead and I'll let you pull that one up first because I think it's pretty good, right?
We do.
We talked about different topics for the homework, and right, things like what the security. What you did in the homework was you basically had your free tier account, and then it was as you were starting from the beginning, and it looked at how you restricted the use of the root user, how you could assign permissions by IAM user groups, required multi-factor authentication to log in, have that extra point. Enforce a password policy. How long should that password be in effect? How long should the password be? Preventing public access to private S3 buckets or deleting unused VPCs, subnets, and security groups. We'll talk about those coming up here today because that's a networking topic. And then looking at monitoring for and resolving high-risk issues through Trusted Advisor. And then lastly, well, maybe your dog ate your homework, right? I mean, maybe you had a busy week at work. Maybe you didn't get a chance to. So, how many people had their dog eat their homework?
I can see Thomas, and I think you're just kind of swaying the poll now. Everyone's saying 8, but you know what? That's fine. That's fine. If your dog ate your homework, hang out for the last poll that we have because we do mention your dog may be being excited. So the
Yes.
last poll might awake your dog. Some happy dogs out there. I agree, Woodrow. But yeah, so let's go ahead and call a couple of these out. So other than 8, which is clearly tilting the poll, thanks, Matt.
Sorry, it was a good option,
It was,
right?
it was good. Well, we have one person here saying, let me see, let me go up here and find it. Give me a second. They said 6 was complicated. So what was 6? Deleting unused VPCs, subnets, and security groups.
Yeah.
It can be, but identifying what those resources are and then removing them to improve your overall security posture within your account is key and is critical. So stay on top of the resources that you have and do what you can to clean it up. So thanks for calling that out. Other than 6, we also have what's that pink one? It is assigning permissions by using IAM user groups. So that is probably the winner. The dogs are clearly the winner, but
Yeah. Yeah.
other than them,
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and add my add my desktop to the screen here, and really let's start
cool.
talking about computer networking. And if you think about it, we take networking for granted. We take networking for granted, and we do because we have these, right? We're connected all the time. We've got this powerful compute device in our pocket that lets us be connected all the time. And we can grab information off the web. We can text and communicate with people. We can call people, all of that over, of course, a network. We're, of course, talking here about a computer network and really interconnecting computing devices, including these, to go ahead and be able to access an environment, an application to get work done. That's really what it is. The power of the network is the ability for us to interconnect. And that's really very, very important. So I'm going to pop this in the chat. And let's kind of talk about creating a network. Amazon has its own network. We talked about regions. We talked about availability zones. We talked about how the AWS cloud is connected and geographically dispersed. But what we also want to talk about here is the concept of a VPC, and it's a virtual private cloud. So Aaron, when you create your account in AWS, you get to create a VPC. But what happens if you're not a networking person?
Oh, then I'm going to get totally lost. Like I have no idea what to do. I hope there's some kind of wizard that can help me, of course.
Well, there actually is a wizard. One of the things too, though, is in every region that when you create an AWS account, we give you a default VPC. So this is like buying the house and it's already plumbed, right? That's one of the analogies I have. You got it. There's plumbing there. You turn it on. The water works in the sink. The water works in the shower. All of that. That's the same thing that goes on here. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop up my management console real quickly here, and I'm going to go ahead and type in VPC.
Awesome. And once you're done doing that, if you can zoom in just a bit for us who are
Oh,
like
yep.
me and can't see it because my eyesight is not the best it used to be.
All right. I'll go ahead and bring that up a little more.
And then I also see there's one question while we're waiting for that to load. One person says, who provides the MFA device? And that goes back to the question that we had from last week's homework. Now, I'm going to go ahead and answer this and say, let's presume you're talking about IAM MFA. That's going to be Identity and Access Management Multi-Factor Authentication. And there's a link in the chat about which types of devices that you can use. You can use software, you can use hardware, you can use a YubiKey if you wanted to.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and click VPCs here. And I'm in US West in Oregon. And I have a whole bunch to use VPCs because I've created for different projects and classes and that. But this one here called default that has a CIDR address of 172.31.0.0/16, this is the default VPC. So this is what you get when you go ahead and log in, which means what? One of the other subjects that we're going to talk about today is building compute, building virtual machines, running Lambda functions, having containers. Well, we've already given you the network that you can put those components in and work with. And so it's not that you have to build it from scratch. I love that we have this default VPC and that people can go ahead and use it to learn how, and then you can build your other networks. Okay, and I'll tell you, that's a whole different area, Aaron. But
It definitely is. And I wonder how many people out there might have already built some kind of network. I think we have a poll for that if I can bring it up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, cool. So, hey, everyone, go ahead and stay tuned. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this poll up. What kind of network structure have you worked with in the past? So we have enterprise, small, medium business, home office, or maybe something else. Let us know in the chat if it's something different than what we have on the screen here. I see we're pretty equally balanced across. Oh, now it's starting to tilt. Oh, there we go. Home office is shooting away. A lot of people saying home office. We have one person saying both small and medium business and home offices. So that's cool. We have a few people actually. One person said that I see what they did there. What kind of network structure have you worked with? Oh, I got to bring this one up. It's too good to skip. They have built out their LinkedIn networks, their network connections. Now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about technology stuff here, but I see what you did. I do. I see one person said 1, 2, and 3, but maybe nothing else. So that's cool.
There was one back too. I saw that said 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
SeanKnight.com.
I see that. Are you promoting someone else's website now? No.
No.
AWS.amazon.com, sir.
No, that's their name in there.
Oh,
I'm not promoting anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see it. Okay. All right. SeanKnight.com. You can you let us know what 4 is? Like what have you done? What's the other? What's 4? All right. Sorry for the distraction there,
No,
Matt.
that's fine. That's fine. No, I like that we're it's about that engagement. It's about that engagement. So I'm going to come back here. I just popped this in the chat. Hopefully you can go ahead and see this, but this is the virtual private cloud. And basically what you get to do when you create a VPC is you're carving your own network space out in the AWS cloud for that account. And you do it by region. So I can create in region 1, maybe that's US West 2, which is in Oregon. And you can go ahead and create, and you can have multiple subnet. A subnetwork is what a subnet is. And typically, in this case, we have 2 subnets. These Amazon EC2 instances may be web servers, and they're on the front end and they're public facing. And then on the back end here, I could have in my second subnet, this subnet would not. It would be a private subnet. You can't access it. You can, of course, people can come to the web server and then either hit this as an application server, and then we could also include another subnet that would have databases, and we could have a 3-tiered app. And so we can break it up. And again, going back to security, because security is what? Top priority. Didn't we mention that last week?
It is a top priority.
And so because security is a top priority, people can just hit that web server. And that's all they can see publicly. They don't see what's going behind, but we can then have that communication behind the scenes.
And speaking of security, so it makes me think. You mentioned the VPC is there's one that's default provided to me in my account. It's based out of a region, but is it only my account, or can I put a VPC across multiple accounts?
You can't put VPCs across multiple accounts. We can peer them. So you and I
Okay.
could set up a relationship. So if I had my account and I was in Oregon, and you, Aaron, you created your own VPC, and we wanted to communicate, maybe our applications work together. Maybe we're forming that business, aren't we, Aaron?
We're gonna
So
do that. We're
yes,
gonna make all the dollars.
that's right. Look out. We'll let you know when we go public. One of the things is we can peer, and it's by the way, peering, very important to note at the cloud practitioner level, it's a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah,
It's a
and there's a
one-to-one
question also in
relationship.
the chat as well around VPCs, and is there a maximum number of VPCs or subnets you can create per region? Now, when you create your AWS account, each region has a default limit or default quota of 5 VPCs, but you can always reach out to support and then request a quota increase. So even though the default is 5, you can have more. Depends on your use case and what you're trying to accomplish.
And going back to my house analogy, you're building the house, you're plumbing it. We're being able to connect to the electrical grid. We're being able to connect to the water and sewer, and so that's basically our networking. But now, what are we going to do in terms of the house? And so we have to talk about compute. And we have multiple ways. Amazon gives you, what I love about the AWS cloud is that we have lots of tools that do similar things, and you can choose then the tool you want, right? And it's not like we're giving you a hammer to use for everything. So for computing power to be able to process your workload, we give you virtual machines called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. We give you containers, and then we also give you serverless, where you just upload your code. You don't have to manage things from behind. And so that from behind the scenes. And so that's really what a lot of the compute portion is. And I liken compute to horsepower. And so whether you own a car, whether you're going to buy a car, or whether you even, I noticed some of the ride sharing apps, Aaron, let you select the type of car you want, right? In terms of that, I'd like to ride in style. And
Yeah,
so,
there's like I always go for like the bigger cars, the ones that say, hey, instead of having three people, you can have up to five. Because I'm a tall guy, so I
yes.
need more leg room. The smaller cars tend to be the smaller cars, and I typically don't fit in them too well. So
We don't want
I,
to shoehorn you in there, but
no,
uh,
no, definitely not. I see a very interesting question in the chat. If we have time for you to bring it up.
sure.
So it says, are there any limits in VPCs in availability zones? Before we move too much further into compute, can we talk about that real quick?
Do you mind taking that, Aaron?
Sure. So for VPCs and availability zones, that's two different things. Matt talked about how a VPC is in your account and a VPC is in a region. Matt also talked about subnets or subnetworking. Now, when you think about availability zones, let me do this. Give me a second here. I am going to pull up my here, and I'm going to take over the screen for a quick
Sure.
second. Okay, right there and right there. Can you see the stream? Can you see it? Is it black?
It's black.
It's black. Okay, that's exactly what I want. Now let's double check my pen color here. Let's make sure it works. I haven't tested this out yet. Can you see the orange?
Yes, I
You know, I'm
can.
going to ask everyone else. What color do you see on the screen, everyone? I'm gonna wait a couple seconds. There's a little delay here. I see orange, orange, orange. Halloween. That is true. It's very close to Halloween in the United States. A lot of people are excited about it. It wouldn't look like this though. It'd look more like a bat, wouldn't it? Okay. So with our accounts, what we have is maybe the account right here. So we'll say AWS, and then we'll also say that we have a region. So within the region, what we'll do is we'll build out the VPC. So I'll say VPC, that is a regional construct. Within the region, I'm going to draw a box here. Please, no one tell Blaine Sundred how I am drawing this box. He will yell at me. But here, what we have is we'll say that we have some subnets or availability zones. Now that we have a region, we're going to put availability zones into this region. So I'll say AZ1, AZ2, and also AZZ3. Okay, so availability zone 1, availability zone 2, and availability zone 3. So think of it as a VPC is in the region and the availability zone is in the region itself. So um, where would our subnets be? Our subnets would actually be right here. This is our subnet. So a subnet is an availability zone construct. A VPC is a regional construct, all within a single AWS account. So I hope that helps.
I thought that was great. I love it visually. And you
Yeah,
chose different colors, so Blaine
I,
would be proud of you.
he would be. All right. Go ahead and feel free to take back over, and hopefully we answered your question in the chat.
So I really think let's talk brief history here about compute. We had physical servers, and for years, for decades, we built a physical server and we put one application on it. And we didn't put any other applications on it because we didn't want to have any conflicts between the libraries, for example, or the code that the two different applications could use. And that was a fear. And so the whole industry purchased large servers. And as I said before, you purchase that server today in 2022 with plans of using it for at least 5 years and hopefully getting up to 10 years out of it. Meaning you were not sizing it for your workload usage today. You were looking 5 or 10 years down the road. So you were buying a massive thing.
Overthinking. Think
It's like,
big.
yeah. And it's like saying, you know what? We're going to have a family and let's buy the biggest house now, right? So we bought the 10 bedroom and okay, but how many kids are you going to have? Well, yeah, I don't know, right? So, but you've planned ahead thinking, well, maybe that'll happen. And so that is really that's what happened. And then in the early 2000s, we had this concept of virtualization. And virtualization meant you could run a virtual machine. So the machine thought it was running on physical hardware, but it was running as a virtual machine. And then you could use multiple virtual machines. So what happened? You got better use of that hardware. So you could, and so you went from, and by the way, one statistic we had of physical servers when I started my career was that a physical server used its resources 3 to 7% of the time. So is that efficiency? You spent lots of money on a particular server to run that workload, and it wasn't being used efficiently.
I mean, that's over provision, but what if it's under provision? What if you end up buying a server and you spend $30,000, $40,000 on a brand new server or blade, you rack it, mount it, stack it, configure it, all that kind of stuff, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh shoot, we've actually grown faster than we thought we could. And it took you 3 months to provision that.
Yep.
What's the
And it
benefit
goes,
of doing that within our environment here?
well, it in with regard to the cloud, as we kind of move forward, you were able to use virtual machines, and you can provision more, and to meet that workload. And we have customers who say, you know, it used to take us 6 months to get a server, and now with it's minutes. Now with AWS, we can get it in minutes because we can just spin it up. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
very fast to go ahead and spin up a workload. But we had those virtual machines. Then we came out with containers. Well, not we. I would say in the industry came out with containers, right? I
Yeah.
had nothing to do with them. But it was a container is great for running a workload that does one thing and one thing only very well. And that is great for microservices. We could break up an application, and then we could scale that part of the application that needs, so that we could run multiple containers if a lot of the order part of the application comes in. And then they came up with the concept of serverless. Let's just go ahead and run your code, upload it, and someone else will manage everything behind the scenes. And your code you only get billed for when your code executes. So you're saving more money.
Yeah,
So
you can
that's kind
scale.
of
You
a,
can react to like capacity changes at like a massive scale. And you mentioned like physical servers, and I see Thomas is saying virtualization made it better, but still not optimal. It still doesn't allow you to scale in the way that maybe your business needs for your customers. But we also have containers, and you mentioned serverless at the very last one. Matt, I wonder how many people here watching us today have done one of those roles or worked on one of those type of compute technologies.
why don't we ask them?
Let's go ahead. So go ahead and type your answer in the chat. What forms of compute have you worked with? Select all that apply. There is no all of the above because 5 is up for you to answer your own custom answer here. So physical servers, virtual machines, maybe both. Containers, maybe all three. Serverless, maybe all four, maybe one or two or three of them. I have no idea. If it's other, type it in the chat. Let us know. Really curious to see. So I see one, two, one, two, three, one, one. I see a lot of twos here. So a lot of people saying virtual machines. I wonder if I wonder if they've ever used VMware Cloud on AWS. I wonder.
I
Um,
wonder. Yep.
yeah, one person said none. They're in sales, but they've heard about all of them. And that, hey,
Okay.
I appreciate that. I will take that. I will
That's
count
great.
that as a five. I count that as a five. Go ahead and type five in the chat for me. Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Mousy. There you are. There you are. I found you. Raspberry Pi is five. That's cool. That's I didn't even think about that one. Didn't even think about that one. We have one and two. A lot of people saying one and two. One, two, three, and four. Recently two. Congratulations. Okay. And thank you for saying five. All right.
Awesome.
Let's go
Well,
ahead and move on.
I'm going to kind of jump back here. We'll go back and really look at Amazon EC2. And Amazon EC2, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, allows us to create virtual machines in the cloud. But I liken it to buying a car. I mean, think of the options you have buying a car. You can go gasoline, you could go diesel, you could go hybrid, you could go electric, right? And then what kind of horsepower do you have? How many seats do you want? You're very tall, Aaron. I'm not as tall as you. Got that short gene, and so I don't need as big as of a cockpit, as you would say, in the car as you do. And so and do you need a pickup truck? Well, you probably do. Everyone in Texas drives pickups, right?
I have like a, what is it, like a mid, not even mid range. It's a pretty small like crossover. I still fit
Okay.
in it though. That's all that
All
matters.
right.
I fit in it.
Well, when there are so many options, you have to think about why you're using it. And the same comes with Amazon EC2. We have here are the instance types. There are different categories. There's general purpose, there's compute optimized, there's memory optimized, accelerated computing, storage optimized, in all kinds of different ways. And then look, we have general purpose. Just look, we have Mac. You could run Mac. You could run then different categories that we have for those. And it goes through and it tells you what kind of, if I went and did a T3, let's look at a T3. Next generation burstable general purpose instance types that do what? Well, we have, here it tells you the processor. It's an Intel Xeon processor. And then we have the different types, how many virtual CPUs you can have, how much memory that you can have. And so that's kind of the workspace. And then what's the network performance like? And what kind of storage can you use? In this case, EBS stands for elastic block storage. So you can look at and choose if you know your workload, you can choose what type you want to use. And I see somebody saying T3A Nano is my favorite. Awesome. You've worked with them before. I think one of the ones that I like to look at is it talks about here memory optimized. And it says that they're great for SAP, SQL, and NoSQL databases. So SQL Server, those databases are really great for memory optimized.
And databases store a lot of data. So would storage optimized maybe be a good option as well?
And it is. So it also talks again down here about databases for use cases. So you can come up and look at that in this area. Accelerated computing. What do I want to do? Machine learning, high performance computing, computational fluid dynamics, computational finance. I mean, seismic analysis, speech recognition. So really what the important thing to note is we can go ahead and choose whatever type of horsepower, again, CPUs and memory that we need. So many, so there are a lot of options here to remember. Is that something you think they ask on the exam, Aaron?
I don't know, but what I can say is, in terms of trying to piece it together and make sense of it for you, general purpose is when you aren't sure, then you might want to go with a general purpose. Now, keep in mind with general purpose, there's the T class or the T instance type. There's the type, the family, the generation. So a T is burstable. So if you want to be able to burst CPU, you might want to go with the T. Really good for like small web servers where you're going to receive a connection, pass it off to your backend. With the others, like for compute optimized, like Matt mentioned, that's going to be compute heavy workloads. If you have memory optimized workloads. Now, don't confuse M, which is general purpose, and R, which is memory. Think R for RAM. Okay, put that in your mind. And then you have accelerated or performant computing is another way to phrase that. So if you ever see performant, think accelerated, machine learning, or like graphics processors. And then storage optimized again for databases or from like some storage area networks that you want to manage within the EC2 instance itself. But hopefully that helps. And you know what,
Yep.
Matt, can we
Yep.
poll and see if
Sure.
if everyone remembers? Let me grab this. Hey everyone, stay tuned. And here we go. So type in the chat which of the following Amazon EC2 instance types are most appropriate for database workloads. 2 of these are correct. 3 of them are not. Which 2 are most appropriate for database workloads?
It's like we got some answers coming in.
I see one person said 3. Pick one more. Throw one more out there, not just 3. I see a lot of 3 and 5. I see one person said 5. I see one person said 2 and 3. Okay. Kind of teetering, but I think we're tilting in one direction here. What do you say?
I think so.
I think so.
I
Okay.
think I think
And
they were listening.
the
That's
correct
great.
the correct answer is memory and storage. So there's general purpose, you're not sure what you want, or you have a light web server, compute for compute heavy operations, memory and storage are more for like databases, or those are some use cases. You can still use them for other use cases. And accelerated is like machine learning or graphics intensive operations type stuff. So
Well, I here is the link real quick to those instance types for people to look at. And I also wanted to include this, which is the getting started page. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pop back to my screen. And this is a great place. A lot of AWS services have a getting started page. Take advantage of those. Come in here and you can log into your account and launch an instance. It walks you through with a T2 micro here and how to configure it. it and then walk through, and then there are additional tutorials that you can go ahead. I love these EC2 Explore More 10-minute tutorials. Time is of the essence, right? We're all busy. I thought technology was supposed to make life a lot easier. It seems like it made it busier, but
no,
whatever.
it's
Okay.
it, it's made us impatient because what happened is like let's say we used to be okay waiting a couple of days for a letter to come in the mail, but now we have well then comes email, and email is like okay now it's there within a few minutes, and then now we have like full on real time asynchronous communication over text message and even like online document sharing platforms where we can see us all making changes at the same time. It's just now we're just impatient. We expect real time stuff. I'm
Yep.
sorry, world. Yep.
No problem. But I think if who doesn't have 10 minutes in the day that they can go ahead and watch a quick tutorial? I want to learn something. You learn something new, right? You're better than you were yesterday when you learn something
Yes.
new, and you can do it in 10 minutes. So anyway, great. I love the getting started pages. Let's kind of talk a little bit about containers. And so we have the Elastic Container Service. We're switching to a different compute model. And so here, a virtual machine runs on top of a hypervisor. Here we can run a container on top of an operating system, and we can share libraries with it. And as I said before, it really is nice in terms of being able to save money on costs and be able to go ahead and use microservices. That's really popular in DevOps now. So basically, ECS allows us to go ahead. The Elastic Container Service lets us build containers, or we can go ahead. There are containers that exist that you can get from the Amazon Marketplace, and then you can define your application and run that container in the region you want, and you can manage it. So Elastic Container Service is an orchestration service. Now, I see somebody said, what's the difference between ECS and EKS? Well, let's talk about that. That is very important to note. ECS is Amazon's container service to manage containers. We have customers that run Kubernetes, and they run Kubernetes, for example. I'm going to go ahead here. Here's the Kubernetes service. And again, Elastic Kubernetes allows us to run Kubernetes and manage our containers. The nice thing about that is that we can, if we still have some of our workloads on premises, we can go ahead and manage those Kubernetes workloads that are on premises, and also the ones that we've moved over and are running in the AWS cloud.
Nice. I saw someone say Kubernetes running within Kubernetes before. So does that turn K8s really into like K16s? Don't spit your water out. This is not the water
Yeah.
challenge.
No,
this is
no,
this is
no.
not the water challenge.
Wait, so can you say that again? You caught me off a little off guard a
It's
little.
like Kubernetesception when you have K8s for Kubernetes,
Yeah.
because it's K and then
Yes,
8
and then eight.
letters.
Yes,
But
yes.
when you
Okay.
have Kubernetesception, like Kubernetes within Kubernetes, is it K16s?
I don't know. This is another bad joke, isn't it?
I think so.
Let's ever gonna start on those again.
Yeah, probably.
Remember, we want these people to be engaged. We don't want to drive them away.
All
So
right, everyone, don't
okay.
leave. All right. So now that we're on the topic of containers, how can we use containers? Like, I guess what are some of our options for launch types?
In containers, you kind of caught me off guard there a little, Aaron. What would you say?
So with launch types, I guess it's like
Oh,
if I wanted to manage the nodes, or if I wanted the
oh
nodes to be
yes.
managed for me, what are our options within
It's
AWS?
it's right there on the screen in front of me, eh? So we can with EKS or ECS, you can go ahead and create your own infrastructure. So just like you manage an EC2 server to run an application, and you have to patch it, you have to manage the workload, you have to size it appropriately with the correct virtual CPUs and memory. We can do that. We can build EC2 worker nodes, and we can then manage them with ECS or EKS. Again, that's not serverless, but we do have Fargate. And Fargate allows us to run serverless. And so now I don't have to worry about how my containers run under the hood. Amazon's going to take care of that for me. And so really great here, just kind of Fargate. It's serverless. There was a commercial out a long time ago, Aaron, and it might have been 10 years ago that there this commercial, but they were selling some type of way to cook food, and the guy had a great tagline, and he said, "Set it and forget it." And I think about that when it comes to AWS serverless. You set it up, you basically say, "This is what I want," and you forget about it. Okay?
Set it
Amazon
and
takes it.
forget it. Sorry, I'm stuck on the fact that you said set it and forget it while you cook food. That's how I burned something in the oven once.
Well,
But you're
in
not
this
talking
thing,
about that. Okay,
in this
got it.
in this thing, yeah, it's not burning food. In this thing,
Okay.
the device he was selling had a timer, and it was going to cook for you, and then all of a sudden the perfect dinner meal was,
And then
because it was so
and then
busy,
it stops. So
and
it scales
it
up,
shut down.
it spins up, it gets hot, it cooks your food, and then it spins down when it's no longer needed and then stops. So that's what Fargate's doing for us. Got it. Okay. Got it.
Yes, yes. And so it's serverless, because with Fargate, if we look here, the container image, we upload it, we define what memory and compute resources we need, and then we run those applications. And that's it. Look at all the steps here. We've got 6 steps. You've got to build your image, define your EC2 instances, then you got to provision and manage how you run those compute points. And yeah, the milk boiling point. Yes. By the way, I took a job a long time ago traveling so that I could eat. So I could expense my meals at night and day, because I can't cook so well. So anyway, that's my sad life. Um,
So we have a
Fortunately,
question here about billing and how that works. So even though we're not going to talk about the details of billing, Matt, on the page here that you have pulled up, it actually has a link to where you can go find out more information about pricing. So the
yeah.
question is, so Fargate also bills based on usage like Lambda. So any serverless type service, you're gonna be billed on usage. You're gonna be billed on what you actually consume versus what you're provisioning and kind of sitting on. So let's say, for example, with an Amazon EC2 instance, well, let's compare that versus serverless, like EC2 launch type versus a Fargate launch type. If you are spinning up your EC2 instances, then that's going to sit there, and you might have some idle resources if you're not using them. With Fargate, for example, it's going to spin up the necessary amount of compute that you need for that job for the capacity changes that your application is seeing in real time. It's going to spin it up. And then as your application no longer needs the same amount of compute, it's going to start spinning it back down. So yes, based on usage.
And we have a question. It says, why would I use Fargate versus Lambda? You have the choice. And how do you want to run your workloads? What is your workload? There are some limitations to Lambda we're going to talk about coming up here that may require you to then use containers.
Yeah,
It
and I would
depends
say
on
that,
your workloads.
and that's also a really good differentiation as well, because you can only use Fargate with containers, but you cannot use Lambda with containers. So it depends on where you're receiving that type of traffic. And you know what? We have a really good poll for us to kind of venture into, if I can shift that way, and then we'll come back to wrapping up that section of what you're talking about.
Sure.
So, hey everyone, which of the following could be used for serverless ECS or EKS workloads? So, we're talking about containers specifically. Is it going to be AWS Lambda, Amazon EC2, AWS Fargate, or Amazon EBS? And I'll go ahead and say Amazon EBS is probably not the answer here, because we have, let me grab this up and I'll do this. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's cross that one off, because Amazon EBS is our Elastic Block Store. So I'm going to give everyone a freebie. It's not four. It's not four. And we're specifically asking about serverless container workloads. So Lambda is serverless, but it's not container based. Amazon EC2 and AWS Fargate are both launch types. So here we can see there's that, but it's also Amazon EC2 is not serverless, and we just talked about that. So everyone, last chance. I'm not going to give you the answer, but we've kind of walked through it. If you already typed your answer, if you think you typed it, do it one more time. Everyone, all at the same time. 3. And let's get rid of this and let's see. What's the answer? I don't know. Everyone's over here guessing. It's 3. Good job. Good job. Sorry.
That's awesome.
I had a little bit of fun with that one.
Somebody put all three, did all 3 threes. Awesome. Well, I'd like to talk about, well, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and put just in the chat here real quick a link to getting started with Fargate. So if we have people who are wanting to know more about containers and running it serverless wise, again, great place to start. There's an introductory video and more tutorials there. And so what I'd like to talk about last is Lambda. And so when I first started learning AWS, I was like, serverless? What are they talking about? I had been a sysadmin. I knew all about servers and configuring them and sizing them. And then I went, and my career took into virtualization. And I spent several years teaching virtualization around the world. And then it was like, well, what? I just don't. What's going on here? And really, I'm a huge fan of it now, a huge fan of it. And one of the classes I teach, the developing on AWS, we build a whole application with Lambda functions. And so instead of having this big monolithic application that runs on a big physical server or in a virtual machine, we break it up into these constituent components. And it's so cool to do that. So one of the things that I like is the example here. You could take a picture. You can, and everyone could do this. They actually have it all set up in one of the getting started challenges. And you can take a picture and you can upload it to an S3 bucket. Now we're going to talk storage next week, but an S3 bucket is object storage. And so it could be a website that you upload to. So it could be your favorite news agency, for example. And then the Lambda function is triggered, what we call an event notification. There's the S3 sends an event to Lambda, says, hey, something got uploaded here. And then Lambda says, oh, now it's my time to do something. Lambda hasn't been running before. It's only till it gets notified. It's kind of like waking you up. Yeah, like, hey, Aaron, wake up. All right, here we go.
Bat. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Triggered.
yes.
Triggered.
You get triggered, yes. These are different. This has trigger means a different context here. It means setting. Well, it does mean setting it off. So maybe you are getting triggered.
Total triggered. I hear that like so there's this like classic alarm sound and I'll hear it on commercials, I'll hear it like on TV shows, and I immediately want to jump and like slap my end table and just turn off the alarm, but it's not there. So
Well,
for sure, trigger is the right word in this case.
I'll throw something in even better to you. The other night, our county, because I'm a volunteer firefighter, our county had 3 calls in the night, all at the other end of the county. So I wasn't needed, but the alarm goes off. So my wife said,
Oh yeah.
"What the
I
heck
can,
is going on?" Right?
yeah,
And then it's
I can only
announced.
imagine. Oh my gosh. Fireman
But
Matt over here is like, uh yeah,
out the door I
out,
run.
out the door. Don't forget your coat. Don't forget your jacket.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
forget your towel.
So one of the things that Lambda can do is it can resize your pictures into web, mobile, or tablet sizes, and so that's again a great way to automate something that you need to do, and I don't have to have the server running. So think of how much I'm saving. Now, Lambda has some limitations. You can run it for the Lambda code for 15 minutes, or sorry, 10 minutes. Wait. See, I'm screwing up already. You
Oh,
can,
hold on, wait, pause, and let's see. Someone else knew that, and they said it earlier. Let me get up here and give me a second. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I had it. I had it right here
yep,
and
yeah,
right here. Two people already said it. Lambda
yep,
can only run for up to 15 minutes.
up to 15 minutes and 10 gigabytes of code. 10 gigabytes of code. So, a great way to do it. I'm gonna end here real quick. I'm gonna come back here to my console, and I'm gonna go into Lambda, and the getting started page for Lambda actually has this simple little Lambda function. And
And
I
while you're waiting for that
demonstrate.
to load, one person um, said that you kind of look like a younger version of Gary Oldman.
I okay.
Is
Okay,
the
thank you.
mustache?
I'll think, yeah, maybe that is. Although he's played some evil people, hasn't he? I don't think I'm that
Uh,
evil. Has,
well,
has
so
that
we're
come
not talking about the
across?
characters the person's
Oh,
played.
okay. Just how I look. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a hello world Lambda function, and it's pretty straightforward code. This is Node.js. And it basically kicks off, and what it does is it echo backs the first key value. So here is the value, and I can come back here and to do a test of it. It's a simple. I have hello class. Well, I'm going to change that to hello Twitch.
Hello, Twitch. How are you doing out there? And while Matt's making that change, there's a question. It says, does it mean that Lambda go with application in an EC2 instance? I'm going to go ahead and read between the lines on the question here and answer anyway. So with Lambda, this is going to be outside of your application, but still part of it. This is one component of the application. You could have an application that's running on an EC2 instance, but Lambda would not be running on the instance. Lambda's outside of it. So in this case, your Lambda function could be triggered by a code that's run from your. So let me actually phrase this the right way. Your EC2 instance has an application running on it that's installed and that's operating system level. The Lambda function could be executed, whether it be through a public HTTP endpoint or through another Lambda function or through something like maybe even Event Bridge or a step function, but it's separate from the instance itself. So hopefully that answers the question. Looks like Matt's done doing his code changes, and I'm looking forward to it saying hello Twitch.
Yeah, so how we would go ahead and how do we see? It says it succeeded. It came back in green here. That's great. So I can expand it and look, that's what it essentially echoed. Hello, Twitch. But if we look down here, Here's the request ID. Here is the initial duration to start up the Lambda function. Here is the duration it executed the code. And so we're billed for 8 milliseconds and 128 megabytes. Remember, the amount of RAM you could use for Lambda functions is 128 megabytes up to 15 gigabytes. And so we're billed for the amount of memory we use and the amount of execution. That's it.
But hold on.
I didn't have. Wait, okay.
I'm confused, Matt. So you said that Lambda is a compute service, but we configure memory. So how do we get more compute out of this service?
In terms of help rephrase that.
So let's say like I need to have my Lambda function process things at a computational level versus a memory level. Is there any direct correlation between the two?
There is a correlation between computation and memory, and so it'll take care of that for you.
Got it. So if I increase the amount of memory that I'm allocating to my Lambda function, then because there is a direct correlation, then I'm increasing the compute power of my Lambda function. Cool.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so one of the things is, again, what we were billed for 8 milliseconds and 128 meg. What happens if that was just a simple hello Twitch, but what happens if we were on an EC2 instance or a physical server? That server would have been up and running, and we would have been paying for that.
Yeah, paying for all that idle time. And you know what? You said hello Twitch, and a few people were saying hi. So I'm actually curious to see if anyone else wants to say hi back. Let us know. Say hello in the chat. Say hi to Matt. Say hi to Matt.
So, and I noticed Thomas included a great link to getting started for in the chat. So look at that again. There is a great getting started to go ahead and play with Lambda.
Literally said hello in the chat. I appreciate that more than you even know. That's something I would have done.
People are saying hi. That's great.
They're saying hi to you. I would like to say hi to Matt. And then hi Matt. Hi. Hey Matt. Oh yeah, you have a following now. Look at that.
Thanks, Aaron. Thank you. So do we have any more polls, Aaron?
We do. We have a poll about Lambda. It's like the perfect topic. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Let's pull the poll, or I don't want to pull for polls. I did that once. It didn't turn out well. But you know what, everyone? Let's go ahead and grab first, find my mouse. There it is. Found it. Okay. Stay tuned. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and level up. What are the maximum quotas for running a Lambda function? Select 2. Is it 10 gigabytes of storage? Is it 10-minute execution, 15 gigabytes of storage, 15-minute execution, or 10 kilobits? That's what that little b is. Kilobits of storage. That's very small. I'm confused about that last one. I don't think it's that last one. Someone said it might be the last one, but you know, I don't know. So select 2. Select 2. Let's see. One person said, I got to go back to that. Where did it go? It's scrolling. It's scrolling past me real quick. One person said 1 and 4 and hi, Matt.
Thank you.
Just throwing all the things out there. All right. So most of us are thinking maybe 1 and 4. So that's 10 gigs of storage and a 15-minute execution time. Let's go ahead and see. Yes, you're correct. So if you weren't sure about it, it's 10 gigs of storage, not 10 minutes of execution, and it's 15 minutes of execution, not 15 gigs of storage. If you are
and I almost
planning on,
confused myself there, didn't I? Earlier.
You did. Earlier, we were talking about these polls.
We wrote this question, and
Yeah.
hello.
We're going through the check to make sure the polls are working this time, but they are. Thank you for helping us test it last week. But now we can see, hey, it's working, and we were reviewing them earlier, and it was a little confusing, Matt. You confused me. You almost got me. You almost got
Yep.
me. All right.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're kind of at the end of our discussion.
We're getting
But
we're getting pretty close. Yeah.
yeah,
Is
I
it?
think we're going to assign some more homework, aren't we?
We are. Hey everyone. You know what? We have more homework for you. A few of you did say that you were going to do your homework. I don't know. I don't know. You said it last week, but then you said that your dog ate the homework. So thanks a lot, Thomas. You know what? One more poll just before we jump over. Are you excited for homework? Let's see.
Ah,
Yes, let's do this. Absolutely. Or maybe your dog is more ecstatic than you are. Um, type in the chat. No wrong answers here. No wrong answers.
I was going to, we were talking earlier too. My dog sits under the desk when I lecture and teach.
Yeah, you said
So
that last week.
yeah, I don't know. She was, in fact, in the middle of this, she came up and was nudging me and wanted to be petted. So
I heard you like shoo your dog away, going like, go.
yeah,
And then the
it's
little
like,
the
go,
paw
go.
patters. Yeah.
Yes, go, go, go.
All right. So, if you're excited for homework, and I hope each and every single one of you are, we do have homework for you. And here it is. So, the homework for you, and we're going to go ahead, Matt's going to drop the links in the chat here. So, review the Amazon EC2 and AWS Lambda FAQs, the frequently asked questions. Those links are in the chat, or they will be here pretty soon.
All
One
right,
sec.
there you go.
Okay, so thank you, Matt, for doing that. And then also, this is the actual call to action. This is the actual homework that we're asking you to do. Share one use case on LinkedIn on how AWS Lambda can be used to automate tasks. So, one use case. Come up with a story, make it interesting. If you want to draw it out, you can go ahead and draw that out. I did a whiteboard drawing, or as a blackboard drawing with virtual chalk using my little pen here, but feel free to draw it out if you want to as well. Make it creative, make it your own. Post it on LinkedIn, use hashtag AWS Power Hour, tag myself at Aaron S. Hunter, tag Matt at MH Hefe, and yeah, we will keep an eye out for it. And who knows, maybe you'll be featured next week on next week's episode.
We have some people. That's their goal. So let's
That's
see it.
that's the goal. Yeah, that's a pretty good goal. Honestly, I would do it. So let's jump over to Power Hour Cloud Practitioner Q&A, question and answer time. If you have any questions that are unanswered, or if you want us to answer them again or in a different way, let us know. Use the chat. We do have people who are also helping us to provide some links. So
I was looking for my dog. Somebody said they'd like to see a picture, but
bring it up. Yeah,
she has taken off. So I'll include that. Maybe I'll change my picture to my dog in the chat in Twitch, because you said I didn't have a picture. You pointed that
Oh
out to
yeah,
me this
you
morning.
you don't have a picture. I mean, your picture it looks like this. Let me see if I can find where you are. On our end, it's just it's like what color is that? It's like lime green almost.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Hey, let's see. Spoiler alert. You turn on your EC2 instances with on demand with Lambda? What? That's cool.
That is
Very
cool.
creative. Very creative. So do you turn them on? Like, do you start them? Or do you change your auto scaling group size? I'm curious to see what your answer is on that one. Oh, we have some demands here, Matt. Do you want to get this pulled up and ready? And maybe you can cover it? Can we go over the well-architected
Oh,
framework, please? And the differences between operational excellence, reliability, and performance. I think that was from episode 1, but we can cover it again now. And then we're getting +1s for that. I
all
think
right.
we kind of have
Let
to.
me go ahead and pull that up.
You say pull? Pull that up?
Pull that up. All right.
And then yeah, more +1s for that. All right, let's go ahead and get that pulled up. And once Matt's ready, we'll kind of walk through and tiptoe. But the well architected framework has what's known as pillars. And with these pillars, let me actually pull that question up on the screen one more time. With these pillars, we have the reliability pillar, operational excellence pillar, security pillar, sustainability pillar, and Matt has them here on the screen. So, Matt, if you don't mind, can you walk us through the difference between operational excellence, reliability, and performance specifically?
Yeah, operational excellence means that we're kind of actually call it observability in the industry, and so we're looking at monitoring our systems and improving the process. So if you liken it to running your car, for example, um, are you tuning your car? Are you going ahead and running it in different ways? If it's an EV car, can you download some new software that makes it run even better? And it's a continuous improvement with regard to that. With reliability is we want to design so that and we can recovery from some failure. And so, what is our CTO, Werner Vogels, says that everything fails all the time. And so, with reliability, you really want to make sure that your environment can sustain something failing. And so the example I would give is we have a database, and we can go ahead and have uh, we have our primary database and we have our standby database. And so if that primary happens to fail, well, we've been sending all of the transactions, also copies of those, to that standby database, and now that standby database can become the primary.
Awesome.
That sound
Hey, that's
good?
helpful. It
And that,
is good. I think it's good, but I wonder if we answered their question. And while we're waiting for an answer there's someone else who's saying, um, can we go back and watch the previous episodes? Because we did cover this in episode one. So
Yep.
if they want to learn more about it or hear it explained a different way or see the questions that other people were asking, because it's all beneficial, they can go over here to our landing page for the series. And right now I'm showing episode 3, and there's a link in the chat. I responded back to someone, but you can see under the AWS Power Hour Cloud Practitioner, you can see information about episode 1. Let's get that pulled up. Episode 1, you can see information about episode 2. You can see there's an on demand, so watch on demand. Go back and watch those videos. Watch them as many times as you need. You can slow them down. You can pause them. You can take notes. You can speed them up if you're a fast learner or a fast watcher. I'm one of those where I might watch something on 2x like 5 times instead of, I don't know why I do that to myself though. Thinking out loud. Terrible idea. I should slow down. And then next week, we have episode 4. We also have episode 5 and episode 6 that are coming up in a few weeks. And on episode 6, we're going to do a review, some next steps as we close out the series. So, short answer, yes, they're available on demand. Long answer, go here, check all the stuff, click the links, watch the videos, do the things.
and Aaron, real quick to finish up on that question, the last pillar that they asked us about comparing was the performance pillar. And if we think about resource types, let's talk about the EC2 instance types that we talked about today, the compute optimized, the memory optimized. Looking at, maybe you start with general, and then you go ahead and look and monitor and see what that workload is. And then you can change the instance type. Maybe you need more virtual CPU. Maybe the application you have is memory intensive, and you can switch and doing that. So the performance, again, is very, very important.
Yeah, it is. And the ability to stop an instance and then change its size or change it based on what your needs are, because hopefully with observability, you're watching your metrics and you're getting information. You can change the size, you can make it larger, you can make it smaller. If you've over provisioned, you can shrink it down. If you've under provisioned, you can either scale up vertically and make it larger or scale out horizontally and use an auto scaling group to add more of the same. So there's that as well.
I
And I
think
see
one
one
of the,
person saying,
oh, go ahead.
One person's actually saying, "Thank you for the link," because they're going to go back and watch it again later. So maybe they're going to want to see a picture of your dog. Come back next week. I think Matt said that he's going to
Yes.
bring a picture of his dog.
Yeah, and one of the other things I would say, going back to the question about well-architected framework, those pillars overlap. Those pillars do overlap, but that is good. That's good best practices in an IT world.
Yeah.
And constantly I'm know how I'm going to operate. I know how I'm going to automate changes. I know how I'm going to respond to events. I'm going to design so that I can go ahead and be reliable when an event happens. And I'm always looking at performance. I'm going ahead and looking at all of those different constituent things, and they do overlap. But it's important to have that mindset. This is very important to have your mindset in how you're going to go ahead and implement best practices in your AWS cloud.
Yeah, there's the overlap, and also it's that constant flywheel where, as part of observability, say that 10 times fast, as part of observability, you identify what you might need, you make the change, you react to some capacity change, whether it be make it bigger or make more of it, and then you constantly fine tune. So you're it's a nonstop process. And even with AWS, we talked about EC2 instances and compute types and instance types and so forth. With an EC2 instance, there's something known as a generation. So one person mentioned T2A micro or nano. That's the two is the generation. So let's say you can go with a T2 micro, T3 micro, or like maybe even a T4. Generally speaking, the latest generation gives you more power and helps you reduce your overall cost. So
Nice.
there's that. All right, one more question here. Someone's asking for homework. Oh, hold on. Review the voucher process. That's part of the Get Certified Challenge. Matt, I think you have that bookmarked already. Do you want to bring that up and walk us through it?
Let me find that. Okay.
So I'll bring this up, and if you don't have it pulled up, not a
Do
problem
you
at
have
all.
it?
I have it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right here. So the Get
Okay. Awesome.
Certified Cloud Practitioner Challenge. Sorry for putting you on the spot there.
That's
You
all
can
right.
join the challenge. Each of you, please do it. Some people have already scheduled their exam. So congratulations. Round of applause for each of you. Round of applause. Um, Matt, full round,
Oh,
not half
sorry.
round. Full round. Round of
Sorry.
applause. And then, so join the challenge. Enter, let us know how to contact you. And one person said, "Hey, where do I go to study for the exam? What kind of resources are available?" And this is where you can go. Once you join the challenge, we will send you information. We'll say, "Hey, go here for this link. We have some exam tips for you." Well, not necessarily tips, some resources to study. We also have this show is part of the Get Certified Challenge as well. And if you go here, by signing up, you'll be eligible for a 50% discount on the exam for the cloud practitioner specifically. That's half off. You can save some money. Just sign up for the challenge and save some money. And then the challenge ends September 30th. So sign up today to get AWS certified before the end of this year. Now, if we scroll down, this is where you can find more information, a whole ton of FAQs, a whole ton of stuff that we already have prepared for you. So, how do you get the half off exam voucher for the cloud practitioner certification? All participants are eligible. One second. All participants are eligible toward the cost of this. Okay, and then you have until September 30th to join the challenge and access that voucher. And then your exam appointment can be any day before December 13th. So challenge ends, but you can still go ahead and schedule that appointment. So get out there, do it. Just be aware of one thing, because I've heard this from people. It could take up to a week to receive that email, the voucher, the information. So be patient, and come back next week as well for episode 4.
Thanks for posting that link in the chat, Woodrow.
All right, let me take a look at the chat here. One more person. Let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing. Did someone say homework? Yeah. Paste the link. Thanks, Woodrow. Thank you for catching that. And one more person over here. is asking for the homework. So that's a pretty good segue. We
Yep.
have homework for you. Review the EC2 and Lambda FAQs. We'll repost those links in the chat one more time, and then share one use case, just one. You don't have to share a lot. One use case on LinkedIn, how AWS Lambda can be used to automate tasks. You can do it in text. If you want to write it out, that's fine. If you want to draw it out, if you want to use a visual diagram, that's up to you. But use hashtag AWS Power Hour so we can find it. Tag myself, Aaron S. Hunter, and Matt M.H. Hefe, and we will watch out for that. Okay, so we'll do what we can to hopefully highlight you on next week's episode. But let's go ahead and close out and say thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Join us next week. Come back. Episode 4: Storage and Database Services on Friday, September 2nd at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And we'll see you then. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Matt,
Thanks,
for
Aaron.
walking us through.
Another
Right, everyone.
fun session with you.
It was wonderful. I always appreciate and enjoy working with you.
I
And
do too.
we have 3 more of these. Take care, everyone.
Yes.
See you next week.
Thank you.